Welcome to the Explosive Strength Podcast with Jerry Bidney. Today I'm here with Ryan Spiecha. Ryan Spiecha was a two-time state shot put champ for the state of Georgia. He now goes to Charleston Southern University in South Carolina, and we're just going to talk to him today about his strength and how he progressed through, where he stands today, and kind of where he's at. So without further ado, here's Ryan Spiecha.
Hey, Jared.
Hello, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. So I guess we'll just normally start off like, how did you hear about the gym?
I heard about the gym probably in about 8th grade going into 9th grade when we started working out with the high school football team. And some of the players were talking about how they went to this gym and were getting stronger. And at the time, they were probably like the strongest people on the team. And I wanted to check it out. So over the course of that summer, I started working out and basically just going to that gym from now on and getting stronger in correspondence with doing the summer football workouts.
Yeah, so you were going to high school workout, then you decided to come to the gym too?
Yeah, after we did conditioning and all of that, a bunch of us would go work out over the summer and do like a lift afterwards around like 12 o'clock when we finished with the high school workout.
So what makes the gym, why would you go to the gym if you already have high school weight training?
I don't know. Like, I guess I didn't know a whole lot about strength training in 8th grade, so I didn't really know what was good and bad, so I just went to both and did as much as I could in both. But once I figured out that usually in high school training it doesn't work on as much strength building as I wanted, I'd start to go to both just to make sure I could still get like a good workout in for conditioning and then a good workout in strength at the gym rather than at the school. I still work out at the school, but I just feel like they didn't do as much as I'd hoped.
Yeah, because they're not really trying to specifically program you or take into account your weaknesses and your strengths, right?
Exactly. I just feel like usually in high school you have some kids that want to do football but are not like built for it and aren't strong yet and haven't lifted weights in their life. So usually their main goal is to do the simpler lifts like the clean and stuff like that and bench and squat, but they don't that's basically the most thing they do is like bench, squat, and then maybe some auxiliaries here and there to try and get those kids who haven't ever lifted before acclimated to it instead of going like all out. And generally, like for the older class people, they'd probably do their workout and then do some extra stuff afterwards if they wanted to.
Yeah, so kind of like going to the high school weight training, just general study, like if you were like an average student. Kind of like then you could take, if you needed more tutoring or advanced, on an advanced class, you kind of go into the gym for that advanced class.
I felt that. Like when I was first starting out, I was all like going through the high school workouts was great for me because I had never lifted before 8th grade, but I guess I was just a generally strong kid, like just by genetics growing up. I mean, I still worked for like my strength, but going into high school and doing those normal workouts was fun to see growth.
Yeah, because you were already pretty strong when you came to the gym.
Yeah, I didn't really expect to be. In bench, I guess I would say average probably, but in squat, I was definitely stronger starting out than most people.
Yeah, tell us about your squat history. I mean, you started off a pretty good squatter. Then we started getting you involved in some lifting meets, and that's kind of where we figured out where you truly were kind of in the world, not just necessarily in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, when I started out in 8th grade, I was not really, I didn't know how much like was a good lift, but now since I've grown up, I saw like how generally strong I was in squatting, because by the end of the summer I started at explosive to the end, I had maxed around 315 on box squat, which to me was just normally lifting. I didn't really know. And then by the end of my freshman year, I had grown to right around 450, which I knew was a huge jump, but I didn't really understand how big of a jump it would be compared to like what most people end up having.
Yeah, and you say box squat. I kind of throw a lot of different things at you, don't I?
Oh yeah, when I started out, since I hadn't ever basically trained squat before, we started with box squat, so I'd get the form down, which I'd recommend for a lot of people, because when I trained one of my buddies, last summer, and when I realized he couldn't squat to parallel, I switched him over to box squat, and I pretty much believe that's a good way to start somebody out if they've never done something like with heavy lifting, like squats, and they're not really as flexible into it. They have something to, like, I guess, guide them down. And once you get used to box squat, transitioning over to regular squat's a lot easier because you have that natural feel.
Yeah, we use, but we don't use the box as a guide. We use it more of a tool because we don't ever touch and go with it, do we?
No, touch and go is probably really bad.
Yeah, I say if you touch and go on a box, you don't know how to box squat.
Oh yeah, because I've seen a lot of people who slam into the box thinking it's normal, and they don't know. Like, they're young and they don't usually know the risks behind. If they hit the box with something really heavy, it could definitely hurt them. They could definitely hurt themselves. But since, like, they're just starting out in training, they don't really feel the pressure that's being, like, done to the damage being done to their back when they're slamming up and down into the box and up, compared to when you sit down controlled and then explode.
Yeah, to sit down, control, and explode. We had a little your squat. We had a little problem with that. We started hammering your squat, and your squat was going up. You was almost, 550, 600 pound squat before we started really monitoring your speed?
Before we started doing speed, I was probably closer to the 500, 550, because I think that's when you got the first tendos in and wanted to train with them, because we started using them for deadlift, and then when we noticed that my squat compared to your son Cody's, he was squatting about the same weight as I was, faster than I was for reps, and mine was a lot slower, but I ended up maxing a lot more, basically at the same consistent pace, because I couldn't move lower weights at a higher speed.
Yeah, and so you were used to moving the heavy weights, and you got them, but the speed was not there, so we just really hammered.
Oh, it was awful.
Well, I wanted you hated the low weight, but I wanted the speed.
No, I like going for speed, but I hated the slow speed with heavier weights, because even though I got the reps, it was pretty hard on my legs and body to do that. But maxing felt fine, because doing one rep slowly is fine, but doing a whole set of, say, like when I first got 405 for 5, doing that really slow, or doing 500 for the exact same speed that I got 405 with before was pretty bad.
Yeah. So I know we're talking about strength, but you broke a world record in squat, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. When I was lifting, probably my junior year, I ended up hitting, like the summer going into my senior year, I hit 580 in one of the meets I had, which set the world record for a bit. It did get broken by somebody, but at the time it was a record.
This was for the IPF, right? One of the most strict organizations out there.
Yeah.
And they're not very nice to you, are they?
No.
So with all this strength, we're talking about strength in these box squats. We also even box squatted with chain. We box squat without chain. We regular squat. We safety squat bar squat. We do a lot of what I've always told you, we've always got to change your squat to change your squat.
Yeah.
And so some of the change is not always fun, is it?
Oh, no, definitely not. Probably the hardest one was the safety squat bar, because not only does it kill your legs, it kills your lower back, because how the bar is meant to strengthen different areas of your body. But it was hard, one of the hardest transitions, but most rewarding, because with helping with the squat maxes, and it also helped with your lower back strength for deadlift and such stuff like that. But it was probably one of the hardest transitions to go to, because it feels like you have so much more weight on your back than you do in a normal squat.
Yeah, and every time we went to at this time we was doing a lot of meets too.
Yeah, usually when we did safety squat, it was probably 5 or 6 months out from the meet, and then we'd transition like 3 months after the fact to try and get back into the groove of doing a normal squat, so that before the meet I wasn't totally dead beforehand. But safety squat definitely helped me out as a lifter in the end of it.
So we were always squatting and changing these things. We was going to meets, and you never really stalled out in these meets, did you? You never really hit a plateau.
There was one meet for squat that plateaued, and that was probably the state meet before. Like, you had to qualify for this. You had to go to this one meet to qualify for other meets, and I went and tried 500, and it didn't go up really fast. And for squat, that meet was pretty bad. Like, I didn't plateau, like, in general, like, in the long run, but for, like, short periods of time, I'd plateaued, and I think that was, like, the only time I saw, like, it really, like, it was a weight that I'd done before, and it was hard to get it up. It may have been, I can't remember if this was in any football season or track season, but that may have played a factor in it.
Yeah, but you've always, even your training may have been dialed down during season too, so your training frequency could back off. But speaking of that, I mean, you always trained year round. You would come after football practice.
Oh, yeah. Back in high school, I'd always come after football practice and get the nighttime lift in. Because during the day, I had other classes, so I didn't usually go to have a weight training class throughout high school because I had other classes I needed to take. And so after football practice, even in wrestling season, I'd go afterwards and get a lift in.
So you did football, wrestling, and track, and still found a way to get to the gym.
Oh, yeah. In high school, it's really up to you whether or not to go to the gym after those things. Like, people will feel tired after football practice. Like, I always felt tired after football before I went to the gym, but I knew in the long run, like, if you have enough determination, basically, it's all down to that, whether or not to get you to go to the gym or not. Like, after wrestling was probably the hardest time because wrestling workouts put so much strain on your body. And then afterwards, to have to go squat or bench is pretty bad, but it's basically up to you whether you want to do it or not. Like, if you have the mindset of, oh, it's just too tiring, I'll do it later, you'll never get better. But if you want to get better and you know going to the gym will make you better, you'll end up going. Because there were, like, my senior year, there were a lot of people that went to the gym after football, like a good amount of people.
And they're probably the strongest on the team.
Yeah, I would say that for us to go to the gym after workouts, or even in the summer to go and get an extra lift in after conditioning, definitely showed the strength on the team, because the strongest people on the team were either naturally gifted people who were just naturally strong, or people who put in the work and did extra here and there to get stronger.
Yeah, and I like the story because the people like you, what's really been successful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were consistent. You come to the gym, and sometimes if you're coming, I'm not beating you down with what's necessarily needs to be done that day, especially after like a football practice or a track practice. But if you do not have anything else going on that day, and you want to come in and I want you to do squat 550 for 5.
Oh yeah, I'd have to do it. Yeah. There was no oh, what if I don't want to? No, I just kind of sucked it up and did it at that point.
Yeah, Jared, can I have a lighter day? And I said, what the hell's a lighter day?
There is no such thing as a lighter day. I mean, here and there you'd get a lighter day, but the lighter day is 5 sets of 5, which is a lighter weight, and 5 sets of 5 is the worst thing ever.
Or we may even do 5 sets of 1. I had to do 5 sets of 1 time this past year, didn't I?
Over the first workout I had after my three weeks of break from the college track season, I walk in, he's like, how's 600 for 4 sets of 1? And it was, I was like, okay.
And so, yeah. But I guess what you've realized over time is you don't think you can do stuff at points in time, but that's why I'm there, because I know where you are and what you can do, because you've been to the gym long enough. I know your body.
Oh yeah, once you go long enough and consistently enough, Jared knew whether or not what I should do that day if I had a hard day or something. When people are inconsistent working out and not showing up enough, it's hard for them to get those days and end up having to repeat the same workout over and over that they had the previous week because they didn't show up.
Yeah, it's like you were always consistent because you knew if you were to take off a whole football season.
Oh, if I took a whole football season off, I probably would have plateaued throughout my whole year around 500. I would have never gotten stronger past then. I mean, if after I broke my foot a couple last summer, after taking a while off, it took me only about a month or two to get back to being able to do 500 pretty easily. But I knew if I had taken off that time, I would have probably just plateaued. I wouldn't have gotten stronger.
Yeah, because you could still come in and do stuff even with a broken foot.
Oh yeah, I could come in and do bench, and my bench suffered. Like when I take off time, I feel like my bench suffers more than my squat. But I feel like that's just my body and how it works. Because my bench suffered a lot when I broke my foot and couldn't come in for a while. But my squat, after when you're able to lift again, like comfortably, getting those workouts back in, things build a lot faster. For me at least with my squat. But when I tried to come back and bench what I used to bench after I broke my foot, it was a lot harder due to the fact that I had to lift differently.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is you were always consistent. And consistency will override intensity. You don't always have to be intense as long as you're consistent. Sometimes intensity can be based off of how you feel if you got a lot of other things going on.
Oh, yeah. You could feel awful and everything under the sun could be bad, but if you have a consistent plan and a consistent workout, you may not plateau. Like, you may feel like you're plateauing, but if you're consistent and doing everything you should, the strength should build in different ways other than just your max. Like, you may think you're plateauing, but the weight you did 3 weeks ago for sets of 5 is now 10 times faster than when you did it, but it may not seem like it to you because your body's just getting adjusted to it. Like, I know countless times I'd do a squat for some reps and it feels like it's the slowest thing ever, but if you film it, it's a lot faster than you believe it is.
Yeah, you could feel your body could be aching. You could feel like crap. You could not be motivated at all. But also, if we hook up the Tendo to you, you realize, how am I moving this? It feels like it's slow, but you're moving it faster than you even thought you would. You're moving it faster than you even did last time. Yeah,
definitely. It's a huge jump. When I was back, I think my probably going into sophomore year, back when I was doing 405, the first time I ever did it, it felt like it was the worst thing ever. And then the second time around, when I was doing the exact same weight, probably about 2 weeks later, it didn't feel like it was a challenge then. And then when you start getting past like certain weights, everything kind of feels the same. So it's hard to judge whether or not you're moving it fast enough to move up weights.
Yeah, and we've always used the Tendo unit based off where the speeds are to try to figure out where your weight's going to be instead of just.
Oh yeah, it helps a lot with figuring out how you should build up your programs after that, and if you should increase, due to the fact that if you have one weight that's supposed to be fast and it's at like a 3 instead of like a 5, you know that maybe train with this weight for a while instead of doing a big jump next week.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about strength and about the monitoring of the different numbers that people don't even have a clue about, that we monitor bar speeds. We have to know where you are always.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I know where you are based on your squat speed, your reps. I know kind of where you are. And we keep talking about the strength, but over the years, what has happened? I mean, what was your shot put going up? 8 feet per year?
Yeah, it was in high school. It was going up a consistent. I started out freshman year with no form, so it was just a bad year. And then sophomore year, I went up from like 36 to like 47 because I'd actually started to increase in like strength and in form, and things just started to go up rapidly. And then I switched my form from glide to rotation my junior year, and it dipped down a little bit because changing form, but I still went up from 47 to about 54. And then my senior year, I was at 60 from about 53, 54 my sophomore year. So I had a consistent amount of jumps leading up to college.
Yeah, what happened when you got you go to Charleston Southern University right now, right?
Yes.
What happened your first year? You broke some records your first year there, didn't you?
Yeah, indoor, my first meet, I broke the freshman indoor record and with the school indoor record. And transitioning to the 16 was kind of rough because for the rest of the year I kind of plateaued. Maybe it was like, we don't know if it was training or I just wasn't used to the size of the shot put, but I plateaued for a little bit. And then towards the end I started to build up constantly to a reasonable distance. And then in outdoor, I didn't break the outdoor record. I got close, but I did break the freshman outdoor record. And then sophomore year, last year, I ended up breaking the outdoor school record and indoor school record again with a considerable jump from what I had due to the fact that even though I broke my foot, I had a lot of time to recover, but I ended up doing better my sophomore year than my freshman year, which was nice.
Yeah, we pushed that bench up a good bit that year. That foot was broke, didn't we?
Oh yeah, if I can't squat, I might as well do something else.
Yeah, because bench is highly correlated with that shot, and if you could take your squat and your bench and you put them together, you'd be really strong. But we also did other things to work on your strength. Dumbbell jumps.
Oh yeah, the dumbbell jumps, they were frustrating because for a big guy, seeing like all the lighter people who jump like 30s and like 40s, you're stuck at like 20 something for a long time. And even though like a big person may not jump a lot starting out, the dumbbell jumps help a lot with just being fast out of the squat position and generally being explosive in shot put, because in the release you lift up exactly the same way you'd lift in a dumbbell jump. So being able to do that with heavier weight and get used to being explosive from a certain point definitely helped out.
Yeah, because we do a lot. We don't even do any power cleans at the gym or any Olympic lifts.
No, we didn't. I do some at school because we usually do it, and it does feel like it helps with certain throws. But I feel like being explosive with like dumbbell jumps and other types of lifts helps out a lot as well. I feel like I haven't really gained a whole lot of strength from cleans. I've just gained, I guess, some self-form and knowing my body a lot from cleans, because you have to get underneath the bar. And with weight throw, you typically lift up like you'd lift up for a clean, the same way with dumbbell jumps. So we didn't do a whole lot, so I don't feel like it didn't hurt me not to do them. And doing dumbbell jumps definitely did help.
What was your best jump at your highest weight? You was weighing 280 with a 31, or do you get to a 30? Do you make to a 30?
I think I got to a 32.8 around there. Probably my body weight was around 270, 275 around that point. And this is probably about, I want to say my junior year, because I hurt my ankle senior year, and I had a lot of feet and ankle injuries. And that brought me, I wasn't able to do much with my legs for about a month. So after that, I couldn't really climb but I was climbed to 33, but I was probably consistent around 31, 30.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a big boy.
Oh yeah, it's like, I still wasn't the biggest guy to jump the highest in the gym, because Mike
Henderman, yeah, we had a 300-pound offensive lineman.
Jumped 34.
Yeah, 34-inch vertical.
That was crazy.
Yeah, most of the kids at the gym are really, we can always jump.
Oh yeah, starting out, you see them struggling and they don't really jump that high, but when they trust the process, you see them improve a whole lot, especially with people who come in consistently. You'll see like people come in when they're sophomores jumping 30, and then their senior year jumping almost 40 when they're lighter people. And it does build a lot of explosiveness, and you see it with these younger like running backs and wide receivers who can jump in the 40s.
Yeah, you don't really realize until you start seeing the people at the gym. That's pretty impressive how they lift off the ground. Like Kyle was pretty lightweight, jumping 40. I think Kyle got to 44 and Cody got to 46.
Yeah.
I should have filmed him.
You had a picture, I believe. I don't believe Instagram had filming at that point, because you posted them to Instagram, the two jumps, but I don't believe they had able to upload video, so it's just a picture of it. But you can see they jumped pretty high.
Yeah. You when you come to the gym, kind of what do I expect from you?
From me,
or anybody, like just average.
Usually it's just to get your reps, really. I mean, you could be in a bad mood or a good mood, but as long as you can get your reps and get the whole workout in, it's good. Like, that's mainly what you'd want from me.
Yeah, because I love numbers.
Oh, yeah.
I tell someone numbers are my food. Feed me, I'm starving. If you're not helping me get my numbers, I don't know if what I'm doing is working.
Yeah, if you want to take a day off, I mean, it's kind of hard to judge where you want to go and how to lift. So to be able to have the numbers, like if you're coming consistently and he gets the numbers that he wants, he knows that you're going to be improving. Like you should be able to. But if you don't come in or you don't get your reps and what you're supposed to be doing, then it's kind of hard to judge what to do with your workouts.
Yeah, like I hate average people.
Oh yeah.
Because they're only going to give me average results. I'm there to help people. And if I get someone that's inconsistent, that's not trying, they're not giving me my numbers. And if I'm not getting my numbers, which is ultimately your numbers, I'm not helping you, because I need to show you that what you're doing is working. And if you're not here consistently, or you're not trying consistently, you're not feeding me, and I can't feed you.
Oh yeah, definitely. You see people at the gym who want to get better and who are consistent with their workouts and try hard. But there's definitely people who you see come in and just not really joke around, but they don't really try to get their reps as hard as other people do, or aren't determined to get their reps as other people are. And those people who don't come into the gym with a mindset of trying to just get their reps and get what they're supposed to get, or people who come in and don't really do everything on the sheet because they joke around, they're usually not super successful with their strength gain.
Yeah, and speaking of that, everything has a purpose. You have your friends, you have your school, and you have your sport, and you have your training. How'd you balance all that? I mean, that's a plate load,
Usually during the week, since I was in high school, you see your friends during the day, so that's usually where you get your interactions, and then you get your sports and then your workouts. The only hard thing I found to get in was studying time and homework, because high school goes from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and then football would go from 4 to 6, and then weights would go from either like 6:30 or 7 to 8 or 9 some nights. So you have to be willing to just go home and grind out the homework as well to keep up with your schedule. In college, it's a lot easier to maintain those because you have some downtime in between. Because for me, I work out in the mornings. I go to classes, and the classes vary some days. So some days you'll have a full load of classes, but other days you'll be done. You'll have one class at 8 a.m. and then one class at, say, 10 or 12 going to like 1 o'clock. For me, I'm done around 1:30 each day besides my night class, and it's pretty easy to be able to have some social interactions and hang out with friends in between then, and still be able to go throughout the day with that same cycle.
So you can still get stuff done.
Oh yeah, you can still, if you're determined enough, you can get stuff done, I feel. Like, it may be hard to get the stuff done, say, for like high school. If it may be hard to go through the day, get a whole workout in, go through school and go through your sport, and then get the homework done at night and get everything done. But it's just hard. I mean, it's a sacrifice you have to do to be good in anything, really. You have to be able to sacrifice to maybe some hangout time to do homework, and you have to be willing to go to the gym every day or every however many days you go to the gym. And then it's easy to balance it all with a consistent schedule, really.
Yeah, so once you set your schedule, you just got to adhere to it.
Oh, yeah. If you don't have a consistent schedule and some days you pick, do I want to go to the gym today or do I want to go hang out with my friends, then your schedule's all messed up, and sooner or later you're going to have somebody not really wanting to go to the gym anymore because they gave up the schedule to go hang out with their friends, and then wondering later on why they don't have a scholarship or why aren't they going somewhere for sports, and not realizing that not wanting to do like your homework, say like they skip their homework and their grades drop, and wondering why they failed that test, because you got to figure out the schedule you need and to be able to put in the work to be successful.
Yeah, if they want to be successful, I mean, that's kind of, I tell people, and it's kind of cliche, that you can be what you want to be if you put the time in.
Yeah, if you put the time in.
You got to work.
Yeah, if you don't put in the work, it's physically impossible to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it's like they expect a lot of things within a short period of time. I mean, we've been working. How long have you been at the gym? This is what you're
total
8 years.
This would probably be about 8-7 years, because if I started summer of 8th grade year, I'd probably be about about 8-7 years around that time frame. Because I'm going to my junior year of college, so it'd probably be around that time.
Yeah, and it's great in all this time, but everything you've broken you said you won state your junior.
I won.
And your senior year you won state again. Then you broke records your freshman. You broke records your sophomore year of college too, didn't you?
Yeah, I was surprised that I was able to do that because I wasn't able to train from July 10th to around around October was when I was able to start. After my physical therapy, I was able to start lifting like I used to and actually being able to run and throw. So I was surprised I was able to grow distance-wise my sophomore year because of the setback I had.
Yeah, but if you look at it, that's pretty impressive. You broke records or won something 4 years in a row. State title, broke college records. You got a chance to do that again this year.
Oh yeah, it should be better this year, knock on wood, because I haven't had any major setbacks. I feel like every year I've had a setback, and that's kind of kept me from achieving my goals that I want to achieve. Having setbacks and being able to improve is really nice, but it sucks when you can't, you have a goal one year and you're like, I want to do this by next year, and have a setback that doesn't really hinder you from achieving the goal, but it kind of gets you close to achieving it, but not really getting to that point.
Yeah, I think that's why it's important to train early. If you want to put in all those other years of training, and we were to start training, then you get that setback, then you're really screwed.
Oh yeah, the setback really sucks with training because you'll hit some numbers and you'll be excited to go because you're so close. I think I remember the time when I broke my foot, I was just about where I wanted to be for my squat and bench going into my sophomore year, and then the setback really crushes all those goals you had for the month ahead and the couple months ahead, and having a setback really is all mental because if you can get past it, you can still be back where you were, but it's just a little bit longer time to go about it.
Yeah, and all these numbers and all these strength. Your sport is a strength sport.
I would probably say so. That and technique,
yeah. Yeah, you gotta have strength, speed. You gotta be able to move heavyweight fast.
Oh yeah, especially in the weight throw. If you can't move it fast and efficiently, it's gonna go nowhere.
So, what would be one thing if you can go back to 8th grade Ryan?
Yeah.
Think about that. And what would you tell the young athlete again? If you could go back and talk to yourself, or if you had a chance to go talk to an 8th grade class or 6th. What would be some advice that you'd give a younger kid like that?
Sports-wise, I would say that mainly it requires the sacrifice and the time put in to do something. If you want to go out, when I was in 8th grade, I wanted to do some sort of college sport. I thought it would be football. It didn't line up that way when track entered my life. But I would say that if you want to do something, to really go out and do it, because you see a lot of people say they want to do something but then don't put the effort in. But if I could go back and tell myself that hey, you're going to be able to, you're going to go to school for shot put and not football, I probably would have put my training more into track and field and then rather than football really, because if I would have had 2 extra years of the training I had with throw and deep and the strength training that I did specifically for track and field, then I feel like I'd be a lot better than I am right now. But mainly for an 8th grade class, I just say you have to have the drive to do something. If you want to do it, you can. But if you don't put in the effort to acquire those goals, then you're just gonna fall short.
Yeah, lifting and training, which lifting is really training for what we do because we're after some numbers,
Yeah.
I want people to succeed.
Yes.
I care about it. I want you to be great.
Oh, yeah.
You've broken all of my records, probably except for my bench.
Oh, except for, but yeah, 500. I'm never going to break the 500 bench.
But I think a sign of a good coach is I try to make my athletes better than me, like Cody and them. And,
oh, yeah.
Brooks was a heck of an athlete, too.
Oh, Brooks was a great thrower. I believe he graduated this year, or he has one more year. I can't remember. But he was a great athlete in high school and in college. I mean, he also had setbacks. I believe he had a back injury that set him back in college for a couple of years, but he still broke his school record for the weight throw when he was finally able to throw. So, yeah, he was a heck of an athlete.
And so I just think if they just put the time in, whether they think they're good or not. I hate when people say I'm not good at it. I don't care if you're not good at it. You can be better at anything.
Oh yeah.
You just got to try.
Oh yeah.
What is something that you've learned this past year that you think's really helped you out as far as an athlete?
As far as an athlete, probably the different types of throwing training or different styles of training for track and field, along with beforehand, I do my lift just to do my lift, but now when you hear from specific top level athletes in the same sport you are, you learned of different ways to do the same lift you did before, but for a different purpose. So it definitely helps you out strength wise. Like you may be able to do like squatting a lot, but like once you learn a new way to do it to enhance your like the way you're going to be on the football field, like throwing or running, then it really does help a lot in the gym and in like the field of sport you do.
So you have to squat a lot in order to figure out what you got to change later, because you've got to be able to get strong enough to where you reach a plateau or to where you reach your squat not going up.
Oh yeah.
Before you seek change, because if you want to get better, you got to figure out what's going on, and there's been a knowledge base associated with your strength gains. As you've gotten stronger, you've gotten smarter about different lifting things.
Oh yeah, once you get to the point, whether it's like 225, 500, around the area, once you get to a plateau of where you're at and you're getting frustrated, because getting at a plateau in anything is frustrating, whether that be like speed, throwing, lifting. Getting at a plateau is one of the most frustrating things, and to be able to find out what's causing that plateau or switch things up to get things just moving slightly in the way you want it to is very rewarding.
Yeah, and that's because you care about the sport or what you're trying to achieve. You're not there just for recreation purposes.
Oh yeah, I mean, even like recreational lifting, you still hit the plateaus and you find out different training methods to overcome it. But definitely in sports, like if a sprinter gets stuck at like in the 100-meter, they've been running the same numbers for weeks and weeks at different meets, and they finally figure out like a way to go past that and get lower numbers and lower numbers in their 100-meter, then it's really rewarding. But when somebody plateaus, it's very frustrating because you just want to get better and you don't know what's causing it to plateau. But once you find out what it is and being able to go through it and get better is it releases a lot of stress off you, because beforehand there's a lot on your shoulders, like why am I not competing or doing as well as I want to? And then you finally see this growth, whether it be like 1 centimeter in a throw or like just one more extra rep in squat or just certain things. It definitely helps out and gets you more motivated to keep going.
Yeah, and that should say that although you're trained, you feel like something's not changing. It actually is. It may be at a slower rate than what your brain wants it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But the consistency and the figuring out and the grinding, you're changing, but it's not showing up just as quick as you would want it to.
Yeah, I definitely feel the worst thing is to stop if you've hit a plateau. Like if somebody hits a plateau, gets frustrated, and then just stops completely, it's probably the worst thing for them. Like taking a break is good, but for somebody to just like stop and then just come back and not really care as much as they did before is probably the most detrimental to them.
Yeah, and I've seen kids that I had a kid one time, he left with a 350 bench, went through football season, didn't even train, I guess, weights, and came back with a 280 bench.
Oh yeah.
And then didn't want to train anymore.
Yeah,
once you sit there doing 315 for reps, and you come back and you can't even bench 290 or even 315, you don't want to do it anymore.
Oh yeah, it's definitely hard. Definitely going into a whole different field of training, because once you go off to college or you start doing different training for your school and you're not having your consistent schedule or like lifting the same way you'd lift back home, your max may go down and stuff like that. But the hardest thing to do is, I mean, I can say it is frustrating to go a whole year and then actually be an athlete for that year rather than like just lift and then do a sport in high school. It's different in college because there's more expected of you. So you have to take that downtime you may not have taken in high school, and you have to have those weeks where you may only work out twice a week to get prepared, say for a big game or like a big meet. But in the same aspect, it is going to hurt like the maxes. I mean, it's not saying that like it's going to be impossible to come back, but you try to go back over the summer and train like you wanted to and you used to, and your max has gone down a fair amount, and you get frustrated why it's gone down. But like the hardest thing is to like push through it. But if you push through it, it's fine. But you have a lot of people that don't push through it, and then they just end up not getting stronger in the off season, and they end up just getting worse and worse as the years go on.
Now, let's see. You were offensive lineman, and you played defensive line.
Yes.
And you threw shot. Now, how much did those positions care about 40-yard dash speed or running speed?
For O-line, specifically for my sports, a 40-yard dash would probably be non-existent to what I had to do. For linemen, probably like a 5-yard, 10-yard dash is more helpful than a 40-yard.
Yeah, but I test everybody's 40 each month at the gym.
Yeah.
On a monthly basis. And what happened to your 40 is as you kept getting stronger and we kept jumping higher, you kept getting...
Yeah, my 40 kept improving a lot, which is good. It's very rewarding to see your 40 go up and see like that you're getting better and you're getting stronger.
And we didn't even practice that.
No, I never really set out to run a 40 because I never really went to combines or anything in high school. I don't know why. I just necessarily didn't go and run combines. Running combine. So I never really trained it. I just trained being explosive because for a lineman or a shot putter, there's no need to train 40s. Yeah. There's no need at all.
But it's just amazing. With no focus at it, you improved. You even got down to a 4.940 at 200.
I think that was when I was I ended up dieting a little bit my senior year in high school just because every high schooler doesn't like being big. I mean, I've embraced being big in college, but in high school I hated being like around 270, so I went down to around 260, 255, and that's when I finally hit, like I was consistent around like 5.1s, 5.0s, but I hit a 5.9, I think the last time I ever tested a 40.
Yeah, let's hit on that. Like in high school, high school kind of really sucks. I'm saying like, usually in high school, you care more about what your body. You got all these stupid peers around you. Body image and crap like what clothes you're wearing and all this crap.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you really realize in high school you don't realize it when you're in there, but it's kind of really stupid. Once you get out and you go to college, you wear gym shorts, t-shirts, and you don't care. You are you at that point. You know. When you're
in, once you get out of high school, you realize that like you're never gonna. I mean, it's unless you go to a local college or like a college that like everybody in your high school goes to. Most of the time, you'll never see your people from your high school again unless you're home. But in high school, I definitely probably focused too much on how my body looks and like if I dressed like cool and stuff like that. But in college, I think if you're even if you're in sport or if you're not in a sport, like most people learn that it doesn't really matter. Just be comfortable and wear what you want to wear and not really give a crap about what other people think about you. Because the more you think about that, the worse your mindset will ever be.
Yeah, be who you want to be. And it's amazing in college. You are who you are. Then all of a sudden you got friends, and no one's judging anybody.
Oh no! When you go from a high school perspective, where you see everybody every day, and you're worried about impressing people and being like the best friend of everybody, like worrying about everything, like mainly about like social status. I mean, once you get straight into college and being able to just be who you are and have friends with people who are just like you instead of trying to force yourself into a friend group, then the stress is lifted. Because in high school I definitely wanted to dress nicer and stuff like that to try to impress people, but in college I just wear shorts and a t-shirt, mainly because athletics, like I'm gonna have to go from class to athletics, so if I have like a dirty t-shirt on during class, as long as it's like clean and it has like shot put stains, I mean, I don't care what people think, I'm gonna have to go to practice anyways.
That's right. And do you think it's helpful to play a sport in college? Do you think it's a lot easier to navigate around campus when you see your college teammates, or do you think how do you think it'd be being a normal student without knowing anything?
It's hit or miss with that, because I would say it's harder to be an athlete in college than it would be a normal person. Like some people, let me rephrase it. If you don't have a like job in college that's going to take up a lot of your time, then being an athlete is harder than I would. Because some days I feel like I just want to be a normal student like everybody else. Because having to go through the day and be like have no free time up until the very end of the day is rough. But in the same time, it's exactly like somebody else who's working a job 30, 40 hours a week, having to pay off their schooling. They both have their benefits, but like I guess it is it's nice to have a sport and like stuff to get your mind set on, and you have a goal and stuff like that, so you have to try. Having a sport makes you have good grades or else you're not going to compete, so that drives you to do that. But if you have I go to class every day because like I've been conditioned to go to class every day or my coaches will yell at me. But you'll see a normal student sometimes not show up to class 2 days in a week and like be totally okay with it. It's hard. Like once you have a mindset of you have to do something, this needs to happen. Like you can't miss class. You got to do homework. You got to get good grades. It kind of sticks with you, and it helps you to have a sport to drive you to be better in academics and athletics. But being a normal student it does probably has its perks compared to being an athlete. But I feel like an athlete helps you. Drives me to do
better at school.
Yeah, mainly it gives me a drive a lot to do better at school, because there's classes that like if you were a normal student, like, oh, there's nothing going on, don't show up. Like, yeah, you don't even have to show up, but like as an athlete, like you have to show up and get the good grades, and it helps you realize that like in your mind, like, yeah, I probably do need to show up, or if I'm going to do well in this class, and even if the class doesn't take attendance,
it still feels good.
Yeah.
You can go to class knowing that you have a teammate in your class, right?
Yeah, if I'm ever for my major, you generally don't have teammates in my classes because computer science is a very niche degree at my school, at least. But yeah, when you see people in class that you may know, it's pretty nice to see them.
Yeah. Well, all right, everybody, I think that's it for this episode of the Explosive Strength podcast with Jared Bidney. Ryan, where can people find you? Do you want to follow you on Instagram, social media?
I don't really use social media and stuff like that a lot, so probably I really don't use it that much, to be honest.
Well, that's good. That's good too, especially for kids of your age who's always on it.
I'm always on my computer and phone for like a CS degree and stuff like that, and I always just, if I hang out on my phone. But I don't know, I haven't been like huge into like social media ever. Like I post maybe once every 5 months.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that either. I try to post a little bit more, but I'm too busy sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, some people like they're obsessed with social media, and I understand it. I mean, social media is cool and all, but I usually don't post like a whole lot on social media.
But yeah, well, that's all right. Well, folks, you can follow me at Explosive MEC on Twitter, at Explosive Mechanics on Instagram, or on Facebook at Explosive Mechanics. Thanks for listening, and have a good day.